Hello my sweet potatoes, it is Michelle, and today we're going to be talking all about bullet journaling. Now this is my first time ever bullet journaling. I only started mid-January, so like 2 weeks ago. So this video is coming out kind of late because I randomly decided one night at 4 a.m. that I wanted to start bullet journaling. So I bought all of my supplies on Amazon and it took 2 weeks for everything to come in. So that's why this video is coming out kind of late, but I wanted to make it anyway to maybe give some ideas to other beginner bullet journalists out there. Everything in this video is going to be pretty like simple and minimal, very beginner friendly. So ever since I was a kid, I've always loved art and drawing, and nowadays I'm really into organization and planning. So when I first learned about bullet journaling, I instantly fell in love because it combines all of those things into one. So if you guys are interested in seeing my spreads, then keep watching. So the bullet journal that I'm using is the Dotted Grid Notebook / Journal on Amazon in black. It's 5 by 8¼ inches and the dots are pretty visible, but I don't mind that. And the paper thickness is pretty good. I didn't experience any ghosting or bleeding from any of my pens, which is great. So I started off by making a 2019 cover page, and I got this design idea from Pinterest, which is where I get most of my bullet journal inspiration, so I don't take any credit for any of these designs. And I'm using the Tombow Fudenosuke hard tip here, and since this is my very first time bullet journaling, I'm just keeping things very simple and minimal, but still fun and interesting, you know? On the page left to my cover page, I actually made a grid spacing cheat sheet, which I copied from Amanda Rachel Lee. I'll link her channel down below, but she's like the queen of bullet journaling. She inspires me so much and is the reason why I decided to start out bullet journaling. So on the next page, I'm making my year at a glance and putting all 12 months on this one page, but I realize now that I probably didn't need this page since I made a future log on the next page, so I could have saved myself a lot of time and a lot of hand cramps from writing all those numbers, but it's fine. And next to that, I decided to put a quote, and I really like this one from Abraham Lincoln because it sets a positive tone for the rest of the year, and it reminds me that I do have control over my future and I can make it whatever I want it to be. And I want this year to be an amazing one, so I'm gonna make it an amazing year. I also just started learning hand lettering and script and calligraphy like 2 weeks ago, so I'm still learning, so please don't judge my handwriting. I know it's not the best, but I'm learning, guys. I'm trying to get better. It is really fun for me, and I love using the Tombow Fudenosuke soft tip for calligraphy or hand lettering more than the hard tip. So I tried to add in a bit of hand lettering as much as I could throughout my spreads without overdoing it. Now I'm making my future log, which has all of the months and some space for me to jot down events for that month to remind myself ahead of time. So like I mentioned, if I could go back and change things, I probably wouldn't make my year at a glance page because I have this page and it's kind of redundant to have both in my opinion. Alright, so now we're on to our cover page for January. I went with a light bulb theme and I'm just drawing some string lights, and I wanted a theme that was easy and didn't require a lot of drawing or coloring, and light bulbs are just cute. Next page, we have our monthly spread. I left a lot of space in the boxes for me to write stuff inside because I like having a lot of room so I don't feel restricted. And then I added more string lights at the top, and I also added a little note section at the bottom to remind me of important tasks or events that I didn't have any sort of end date on, but I needed to do at some point during the month. And finally, I added a drop shadow because it was feeling a little plain, and I mean, you can't go wrong with a drop shadow. I ended up going back to the cover page and adding 2 more strings of lights just to fill in the empty space. And now we're on to our trackers. For my mood tracker, I used the light bulbs to represent the 31 days of the month, and I would just color them in according to the legend that I made at the bottom. But if I could redo this, I would probably just use 3 colors instead of 5 because I found it kind of hard to tell the difference between some of the colors as I was coloring them in. And for my habit tracker, I made each one look like the monthly spread because it's easier for me to keep track of the days this way. And as the days went by, I just used a yellow marker to cross out the days that I did each habit, and it's actually really fun for me to sit sit down at the end of each day and fill in my trackers. It's pretty relaxing. So next up, I actually drew out and filmed this weekly spread before I did anything else in my journal because this is the week that my bullet journal came in. It was so busy, so I just needed a space to plan everything out, but that's why it looks a little janky and boring. And like I said, I started bullet journaling mid-January, which is why this spread looks kind of weird since I needed to fit 9 days in. And after I drew the boxes around the dates, they looked kind of boring, so I ended up adding a yellow drop shadow to each box, but I forgot to film that part. The next weekly spread is fairly simple, but very effective in my opinion. I like having a lot of room to write down my tasks, and I also added a note section again, and I also added a pop of color by circling each date with my yellow Crayola Super Tips marker. I actually really like how this weekly spread turned out because I feel like my lettering for the days of the week turned out pretty good, so I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. So next up we have my YouTube page where I can just write down any video ideas that I have, and next to it I have my monthly achievements page where I can write down anything that I was proud of doing that month. And I got this idea from Nikki Limo. I'll leave her channel link in the description box, but I like this idea because I feel like I usually forget the good things that happened in the month, so this is a nice way for me to remember them, look back on the month in a more positive light, and by seeing all of the achievements that I did for that month, it kind of motivates me to do even better in the next month. And finally, here is a quick flip through of my entire bullet journal so far with my 2019 and January spreads. Okay you guys, so that is all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below if you have any other tips for beginner bullet journalists like myself, and also let me know what theme you're going to use for February. I do plan on making more bullet journaling videos in the future, so give this video a thumbs up if you would be interested in watching that. I had so much fun making this video and I can't wait to put more use to my bullet journal throughout the year. And I've always been kind of like a procrastinator, but I feel like bullet journaling has really helped me to fix that because now I actually look forward to completing tasks, writing things down, checking things off, because it's just so much more satisfying. Plus we live in such a digital age now where everyone is just on their phones or everyone's just on their computers, so it's kind of nice to be able to physically write things down, draw things. So again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to join our sweet potato family. Check me out on Instagram, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye! Today's shout out goes out to Atlas. Thank you so much for commenting. I love that leopard dress too. And if you want a chance to be shouted out, just subscribe and comment below in this video and I will pick one of you to shout out in my next video.